People no longer bound by their NDA. What can you now disclose? There are powerline transformers that predate WW1 still up and running in the US, and the utility companies aren't 100% sure where most of them are. They only find out when one finally dies. Someone over 100 years ago put up a transform that powered telegrams all the way to Twitter. Cheetos Clean Paws. I worked in market research and Frito-Lay tested these back in 2007, I think. The concept was Cheetos that didn't leave orange dust on your fingers. What that translates to is Cheetos with an edible lacquer sprayed on them. But they tested very poorly because they tasted like they had edible lacquer sprayed on them. My coworkers and I referred to them as semi-gloss Cheetos. A recently hired employee trapped a secretary in a bathroom at the company Christmas party and raped her. He was caught in the act, sentenced, and will serve a long jail term. All the employees who knew about the details were forced to sign strong NDA and ordered not to talk to any other employees. No one was told why the guy didn't show up for work ever again. The victim was offered a generous payout and never came back to work. HR put out a story that she was taking time off for personal reasons and her coworkers were never told why. Everything was hushed up as much as it could be. The company changed from open bar to drink tickets for all future company events. I licked parts that went into a rocket that went into space. When Chili's first got their awesome blossom, there were no machines to cut the onion, so we did it by hand. I had to sign an NDA before they showed me how to do it. This was in November, 1990, featuring Worth, TX. The outcomes of quite a few reality shows I directed were rigged. Used to work in a warehouse where we made feminine hygiene products. The pads came out of one machine into several different branded boxes. Both the nickel gas station pads and the $10 a box pads. Also, we had one product of pads where we imported them from China, then repackaged them into our own boxes. I didn't have a problem with that. The problem I had was the box had an emblem saying, "Made in America." Would have been okay if it said "Assembled in America." But no. We used the B-2 in the Gulf War in 1990, 6 months after its official first flight, and continued using it under different call signs throughout the early and mid-90s. We did night mid-air refueling missions with it to keep people from seeing it in use. It wouldn't officially enter service until 1997. You know those Jackbox party games? They have a database full of about 100 Jackbox games that were pitched but not used, since rejected games often get featured in later party packs. Notably, one of those Jackbox games is called Poop Cake. Won't detail how it works in case it does get released. But there is a rejected Jackbox game called Poop Cake that exists and is officially documented for potential future use. Harley-Davidson is producing an all-electric motorcycle. It's called the Livewire. It sounds like a jet engine, even though it could be totally silent. 120+ miles per battery. At the time I was working on it, the battery would only last like 60-ish miles and the sound has changed once or twice since too. I want one. Edit. Yes, I know they've been out for a while now. That's why the NDA expired. That a yacht manufacturer advertising a Kevlar hull need only install 2 square per foot of a 3,000 square per foot hull for the statement to be enforceable in court. Jimmy John's put soy sauce in their tuna. I found pallets of candy in the top of the racks that was behind displays and furniture in my Walmart. One pallet had been the home of a mother rat and her brood. Did you know rats don't like raisins but will eat the chocolate off and leave the raisins in a pile? Management decided to put the unopened bags of candy on sale in the clearance aisle instead of disposing the rat-infested pallet. Many companies have really shitty network security, where from a bar in front of the building, you could connect to their open Wi-Fi, and use default passwords on multi-million euro machines. Used to work for Disney. They only used Disney employees for the test screenings of Marvel movies, so I got to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2, already great, and an early version of Doctor Strange that needed a lot of work. When we were giving feedback to the moderator, the writers were sitting in the back with their heads in their hands looking very defeated. It was a confusing mess, but they fleshed out the characters more, so it was better by the time it was released. Oh, also they used to kill a lot of ducks with pyro at Disney World when they did the Illuminations show at Epcot. Shish. Don't buy fine art except from a real dealer in a working gallery or a specific specialist, never just anywhere. The Caribbean cruise industry is so full of vanity galleries, it's a scandal waiting to happen. Edit spelling. 1. Unless things have changed drastically, that popular restaurant being accused of selling, not tuna, really is actually selling tuna. And not cheap stock either. It's just masked by a shitload of mayonnaise. 2. They actually sent out their olives for DNA testing because they were sure one of the suppliers was selling them an olive of cheaper quality. Which also makes the tuna thing make no sense to me. 3. I knew about specials and new things way before they ever made it into the store. We'd start testing the stock at least 6 months before a promotion started. 4. Shady hiring, employment practices were the norm. Similar to what FedEx Ground was accused of in a lawsuit from about 7 years ago. When Google Stadia was just a thing that was being thought about by the company, their totally useful helpful market research demo wasn't even a little indicative of what they were doing. They showed 5 seconds of a cutscene from what I think was an Assassin's Creed game, just a bird flying over a forest, and asked whether it was good. Worked in consulting. Still don't want to share details and still have many NDAs. I know it kind of defeats the purpose of this thread. But one thing I can tell you is the vast majority of time you see a consulting firm start assisting your workplace, heads are about to roll in terms of layoffs. Many times we were brought in to be the bad guys and to implement decisions that management wanted but didn't want to be linked to too heavily. Also, management almost assuredly have a list of employees who would be first to go should something go awry. Suck up to them. Your leather car interior is likely to shrink in the sun. What is 100% worse when wet? Socks. The ends of your sleeves. Farts. A swimming suit you have to put back on. Like a one-piece after using the restroom. A bed. Imagine sleeping on a wet bed. Paper bags. Hamburger bun. Power sockets. Gremlins. Your bed when your kids are sleeping next to you. Sleeping bag. Food, in the sink. Potato chips. Underwear. Pants. Band-aids. Cotton candy. Toilet paper. The THINKIND. A toaster. Bread.